In this video, I'm gonna show you how to approach any CTF. Why do you need CTF? You just started learning cybersecurity, you've been through tons of theoretical material, and you cannot even remember how to make an Nmap scan. We already spotted a problem. I've been in the field since 2020, and I realized how strong and essential CTFs were the moment I started. I mean, unfortunately, like 3 years later, but I started, and I never regret it. I thought that understanding enough resources to get CompTIA Security Plus and some other certifications, and maybe having some knowledge of Python and creating a backdoor with Metasploit infecting my own mobile was all I needed. But everything changed that day. In fact, not only you're gonna realize that you were an absolute noob, but from that day, you're gonna harden your skills every day. Why? To do CTFs, you are obligated to study how to hack machines, and likely for you, or unlikely, the vectors are endless. From web app to Active Directories environments, from a single piece of code exposed in the machines to a framework containing some CVE, which are software vulnerabilities. But hold on, my friend, I know how hard it is to go on Hack the Box, stick 2 hours looking at the IP HTTP gave you, and don't know what to do with it. It gets worse the moment you go on YouTube, you look up for a walkthrough on that retired machine and still don't get nothing because 80% of the video are done like this. So in this video I'm gonna show you 4 steps: how to get started in CTF websites, how to approach any CTF, how to do in case you don't know a specific topic, and how to learn from what you do. First thing off, you need to choose your website. I tried with Hack the Box, but it felt really hard, and sometimes I was losing motivation. That's why I decided to start with TryHackMe first. In fact, even though TryHackMe is having some problem with customers' privacy, and I highly suggest you to get information first, TryHackMe was what made me able to understand everything, from Linux to Windows to coding to scanning an entire network and abuse it, to crack Wi-Fi, Active Directory, classic web app vulnerabilities, and I can go on and on. Of course, all on the beginner side. They also provide us a lot of paths. For example, you wanna join the blue team instead of red teaming? There you go, you can go for the blue team path. Then you can switch to Hack the Box, which in my opinion, it is structured 100 times better. So, objective, user flag and root flag. The user flag will be located in the user directory you will hack into. The root flag once you do privilege escalation from user to root. For any website, whether you choose TryHackMe or Hack the Box, you must reach that machine, right? Those websites give you 2 options. The first one, a virtual machine directly hosted in their server that acts as a bridge from you and the machine. Or you can reach that machine directly from your computer with a simple VPN. In this case, they will give us a VPN file, often an OpenVPN file, that you can use to connect simply by typing sudo openvpn file.openvpn. Then you can just spawn the machine you want and test if you can ping it or not. Step 2. How to approach every single machine. The first step is indeed recognition. You must understand the target before starting, right? We are gonna start with network enumeration. It is the thing that already gives you a hint on where to go or not. For instance, you can see that the server has 2 ports exposed, 22 and 80. In that case, SSH apart, which is often used to establish a connection once you already found the machine, you can directly go for the website that is exposed on that port. Port 80 is associated to HTTP. In fact, there are standard ports. Of course, it's not mandatory that a server will be located in a specific port. They can also be in port 8080, 9090, 65,000 and 531. It's up to you to understand what's behind that port, right? Use Nmap for a preliminary scan, and C or Telnet if you want to query that port, and C often can give you some hints. So let's say you found a web app. First of all, 19% of the time, especially if you're on Hack the Box, you must let your computer know at which address meow-meow-atb needs to point out. For this, Linux has this file. Let's edit it. Now that we can ping it, we can proceed with asset enumeration. Let's go on the website, and while we do manual enumeration, we can leave a directory discovery tool that will fuzz available resources on the website. In this case, Boxer, another tool which will fuzz virtual hosts. So let's say you found a subdomain. Let's add it to our HTTPS file like so. In the same way, Boxer I found tons of directories. None of them, though, seems actually interesting. So let's go on the website and see what we can find. Nothing? Let's see what's in the subdomain. Here we have a framework. How can we identify that is a framework? You can often look at the end of the page, JavaScript codes in the source code, some endpoint that you have found previously, or we can even identify the framework by the website icon. Simply download the icon, calculate the MD5 hash, and compare it to the OWASP5 icon database. Once you know the framework version, look up for CVE on it. CVEs are basically vulnerabilities that has been found by security researchers, sometimes even the product vendor, with an ID assigned. So let's say this framework is vulnerable to a CVE. Once we know this, we can do two things. Understanding how the vulnerability must be exploited, or look up for an already made exploit, which are commonly called proof of concept. You can use this exploit blindly, but it is like speeding at 200 miles with a car that is not yours and just borrowed by a person you just met like 20 minutes ago. So, of course, if the exploit process is too hard, simply understand the key factors, read carefully the exploit, see if you have to change stuff on it. Grab for imported libraries that can be dangerous for your system in case someone is trying to pound you without you even realize it. Now that you're sure, fire up the exploit and get a shell. Once we are in a shell environment, we have two ways. Lateral movement. It is usually done when your user is strictly limited. Often you're gonna find credential leaked or other lateral movement vectors in folder you have access to. I can give you some resources about lateral movement in the description below. Vertical privilege escalation is when your user is capable of directly leveraging privileges and gain root access. Another hint, on HackTheBox, for example, 19% of the time, if you have to do lateral movement, you're not gonna find the user flag in the actual user home directory. Plus, if you will do cat etc passwd, grep sh, you're gonna find more than one user that has access to the shell. In that case, there is a nice chance you have to do lateral movement. Once you hit privilege escalation, submit flags and get rewarded for it. I highly suggest you to go for entry-level starting point lab, like the one from HackTheBox for example. Now, when you don't know a specific thing, first thing, a lot of machines have the official write-up. When you're just starting out, it's unholy end, and I highly recommend you to do like 20 or 30 machines within following a write-up. When you feel confident enough and you just envelop a good height to catch stuff, you will make it alone. Of course, you cannot know every single protocol, every single tool, or every single vector. That's why Google exists. There is a saying, hackers are simply professional Google searchers. So you see a port 8080 and you don't know what it is. Google it. You're gonna find it. You're gonna find what to look for it in a second. Step 4. How to learn from what you do. I'd suggest you to have a note software, like Obsidian for instance. Document everything you find, everything you do, and once you finish the machine, if you didn't know one thing, for example, write it in the hand, and if you just learned that thing, well, another thing learned. If not, start studying that thing just after the machine. In this way, the next time you're gonna find the same protocol or a similar service, you already know what to do. See ya in the next video.